When people find out that I'm a Bible translator, one of the most common questions that I get is, why are they so different? Especially when they find out I've been on the ESV and am on the NIV translation committees, they look at those two different translations and they go, what? How could you be on both? They're so different. And the question that lies behind it is actually, can I trust it? I mean, they read it in some places, many places, very similarly, but in a lot of places, they really sound different. You've been in a Bible study, I'm sure, where people have different versions of the Bible, and this translation says it this way, and this translation says it that way, and you look and you go, well, how can both be true? How can both be true? And can I trust either of them? They're so different. That is a really valid question. And it's going to take a long time and many episodes to start to unpack why translations can be different and yet you can trust them. But let me just give you the answer in kernel form, just really brief. It's an issue of words versus meaning. Now, every translation has a translation philosophy. Every translation has made this decision, and the translators know what it is. Are we going to err on the side of words, or are we going to err on the side of meaning? Okay, so think of a knife blade, and you're going down the edge of a knife. Sometimes it feels like it's that narrow, that sharp. You're going down the knife blade, and you're translating word for word, basically. And then all of a sudden, you hit a word or a phrase, and you go, it doesn't make any sense. I can't translate those words word for word and convey meaning. What are you going to do? Well, depending upon your translation philosophy, you've already decided whether you're going to err on the side of words or on the side of meaning. And so a translation like the ESV or the NASB will tend to come along and will be looking and say, well, these words are not really clear, but we're going to err on the side of words. We're going to just translate the words, and we're going to leave it up to the reader to understand what they mean, to try to figure out what they mean. Okay. Other translations, like the NIV and the Net Bible and CSB, and certainly the NLT, they're going to err on the side of meaning. So they're translating along, basically going kind of word for word. And then you hit this phrase, and you just simply cannot go word for word. They're going to fall over on the side of meaning and saying, okay, what we need to do here is figure out what the author meant, and then how can I convey the same meaning into English? All right? So as a translation philosophy, are you going to fall on the side of words or fall on the side of meaning? That's why translations are different. They're not necessarily, well, in a sense, not necessarily right or wrong. They're different. When I wrote my textbook, Greek for the Rest of Us, I did a ton of comparison of different translations. And I expected them to contradict each other. I mean, I was looking for contradictions all over the place. What I found was that they don't tend to contradict each other. One is going to be vaguer, one is going to be more specific, meaningful. And this one will, in a sense, fit inside this one. But they don't tend to contradict each other. One's a little vaguer, one's a little more specific. Let me give you an example. Paul says the love of Christ constrains me. Well, in a word-for-word kind of translation, they're just going to say, love of Christ constrains me. Well, the problem is, what does that mean? Well, in English and in Greek, love of Christ can mean two different things. It could be my love for Christ, or it could be Christ's love for me. In other words, there's an element of ambiguity in the Greek. And so if you're going to fall off on the side of words, you simply can say love of Christ, and you're going to leave it at that. But the NLT will never leave ambiguity. It'll always try to figure out what the original author meant, and they will say Christ's love for me. And I'm really glad it's Christ's love for me, because my love for Christ wanes. I'm a sinful human being, and good days and bad days, right? And if what really kept me from sinning was my love for him, I'm in real trouble. But that's not what Paul is saying. You get it in Romans as well. Who can separate us from the love of God in Christ Jesus? It's his love for me. And so the NL translates it's the love of Christ constrains me. But see, that's just an example of falling on the sides of word or on the side of meaning. That, in a nutshell, is why translations are different. And they're making different choices. Now, it's going to take a lot of episodes to unpack what that means and all the details involved. So I've got a lot of work to do on this. But that's the most basic, fundamental reason why translations are different and why you can still trust them. They're just doing slightly different things. Okay?